Hey, welcome to another episode of Between Two Bikes. Today I'm on the road. I've been invited to Trev Dealey Motorcycles in Vancouver, and I have with me my buddy Jeff. He's going to talk us through some of the aspects of
the Livewire.
We're here talking about the Livewire, the new electric bike by Harley. I have a whole bunch of questions in from you guys to ask here because I wasn't really sure what to ask. So I have a list here. How long have you been riding?
I've been riding now over 30 years. I started when I was 13.
13. What was your first bike ever?
Suzuki RM80.
Nice. I actually did some motocross on an RM80 when I was about 15, maybe, or probably less than that on an 80. I don't know.
Yeah, I think 15. I remember when I was 15, I still had that bike, but I had to sit on the tank because otherwise the front wheel would just come up because the bike's so small.
The power band on those things was killer.
Yeah.
Yeah. RM125 was the next one. It's so good. So what's your current role at Harley Davidson?
I do motorcycle sales.
Okay, sales guy. And so that actually leads me perfectly into one of the first questions.
Okay.
Who is this bike marketed at?
That's a great question. It is for a new market. So
okay.
One for people that may not ride a Harley right now. Obviously, it's for someone that's looking for a new ride.
Right.
It could potentially be for people that don't ride right now,
okay.
who just are looking to go, I'm not interested in gas motorcycles, but now these electric bikes are a viable option.
Right.
And they want a cool performance bike. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I would say to a new rider, this is the bike for you.
Okay.
But it's definitely, I think, for younger people, and then also for people looking for those electric vehicles now.
So it's a bit of the environmental factor. It's a bit of the trying to reach a new market. Mm-hmm. So something that was coming into my mind when I was designing questions for this interview was Harley's done a great job of reinventing itself for the young person in the last few years. The Sons of Anarchy thing and just the streets, the diners, the Sportsters, all kind of pointing towards the younger generation. Now the electric bike comes in. Talk to me about pricing.
So right now, this is where it will get a little bit interesting. So the pricing right now is $37,250.
So did you get that? $37,250 Canadian
dollars.
Canadian pesos.
Yeah. Canadian pesos, yes. So yeah, it is a premium motorcycle. I think Harley had to go and build sort of the best bike to start with. I think it would be hard to come with, say, a $15,000 motorcycle because people are going to be critical of the build of that motorcycle.
Okay.
Right now, there may be criticism or people being critical of the price tag.
Right.
Just, whoa, that's not maybe what they were expecting. But from my experience riding it, from talking to people also that rode it, and to all the reviews I've been seeing online and going through on YouTube, they've always been super positive about the bike.
Okay. Pricing aside, there are some competitors out there, not a lot, but Zero Motorcycles is around. How does the bike compare to a Zero?
So the one that would be in line for a comparison is going to be the Zero, is it SRF? They have, I have
no clue.
Model.
Yeah.
They have one that's around 30,000.
Okay.
So we're looking at around the same price range. The big differences and the big thing for Harleys is going to be that look, sound, and feel.
Okay.
So I think where the Harley shines is going to be in build quality.
Okay.
Harley's big on paint, so you're still getting the premium paint. You're still getting a premium build quality. It's got Brembo brakes. It's got Showa front and rear adjustable suspension. They didn't skimp out on this bike.
Right.
I think if you look at the touchscreen and the quality of the touchscreen, it's Gorilla Glass front. Everything, the fit and finish is really good on this bike. So on that part, that's where it's going to shine in comparison to that bike.
So anyways, we're talking about the design of the bike. Most of my following has come from the Buell community, and it's evident to me that this bike has a lot of similarities. It's got the sport design, it's short, it's torque, it's wheelieable for sure. Just on the little dyno kind of thing you got set up out there. You crank it, that thing is ripping. Like, I haven't had a go to ride one yet, but I'm hoping I'll get to go one of these fine days, and we'll be able to go and test run it a little bit. But some of the design features, like the suspension, being able to tune that is not something like Harley usually is involved with, unless it's aftermarket. Talk to me about the design and what goes into it for that.
Well, yeah, so you mentioned about Buell. It is more in lines with a sport bike or a naked standard bike.
Right.
So that people that are comfortable on those kind of bikes are going to jump on it and go, wow, this feels like I'm at home.
Right.
Because it is not a traditional cruiser. It doesn't have forward pegs, it has rear sets. Also, the thing with electric bikes right now, eventually there probably will be electric cruisers. I think there's a company actually making one right now.
Okay.
But the aerodynamic and how you sit on the bike does affect the range. So if you've got a big, bulky, heavy cruiser and you're sitting upright and taking all that wind off you, your range is going to dive down.
You might need a wind turbine to also...
Yeah, there's gonna, it's really going to change the ride. So it makes more sense right now with the battery technology to try to maximize range is to build a sort of a naked standard or something that's more towards a sport bike.
Right.
This is also 0 to 60 in 3 seconds.
Okay, so it's
you
fairly
want to
impressive.
hang on to this bike like a sport bike. You want to grab on and hang on.
So one of the things that I was shown outside was the traction control button, which is, it's not purely just traction control, it's also wheelie control. And so that I thought was quite interesting, that you get to flick all of that off and you can customize how much of whatever you want into that, which is like, as a Buell guy, we have zero. Like, there's no technology there. If you rip it, you're going up. That's how it goes. Obviously the EBR guys had more technology there, but in terms of a Harley, this is a new shift.
So the touring models this year do feature traction control.
Okay.
They have a new called the Reflex Defensive Rider System, which is in some of the touring, which is also featured in the Livewire.
Right.
What you're getting out of the Livewire is cornering ABS. You are getting front wheel lift mitigation.
Okay.
That's what's keeping the front end down. It has that much torque that it would just rip the front end all the time up.
It looks to be fun.
Yeah, drag, torque, slip control to the rear wheel. You do have a rain mode.
Yep.
You have a road mode, which is kind of an intermediate mode. You have a range mode, so if you want to get longer. And then you have sport, and sport is going to be the fastest. It's going to also have regenerative braking. So when you roll off the throttle, you get full regenerative braking. It also has 3 customizable modes. Once you get into those, you can start to adjust. You can turn off traction control. You can turn off front wheel lift mitigation, which means you can turn this into a complete hooligan bike.
And that's what we want. That's what Buellers are always hooligans.
Yeah.
And that's so something from that side of the community that makes sense to me, if you can afford the price tag. Because I can buy probably 15 Buells right now for the price of one of these.
These will be easier to get parts for, though.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. The guys back there, always when they see me coming, they're like, "Oh, this guy, we're gonna have to look at and see what part fits from a Sportster into your bike or whatever." So that is a huge bonus. So let's talk about charging stations. And do you have to do that at a dealership? Is it universal? If you have a Tesla charging station, does that work? How does this go?
Yeah, perfect. So it has level 1 and level 3 charging. It actually will accept, though, the connections from level 1, 2, and 3. Level 1 is just a normal plug. So it just
That's in your garage.
Wall, yeah.
Okay.
So underneath the seat, you open it up and you can just pull that out and plug it right into your wall. So if you have your garage, you park it, plug it in, let it charge overnight. For a full charge, it takes about 11 hours.
11, okay.
1, yeah.
Okay.
Moving up to level 2, so on the tank, almost like where you'd put in gas, there's a little thing that flips up, and you can do level 2, which is I think it's the JS17 connector.
Right.
You can connect to it, so any level 2 charger anywhere in the city that you can find. But it doesn't have, because of the size of the bike, and they wanted to get level 3 in it because it's the fastest.
Right.
It doesn't have the electronics to actually charge at level 2. So it will take the plug, it will charge, but it drops it to level 1.
Okay, so you're stuck with your 11-hour full charge kind of thing.
So if you found that, if it's all you had and you had to wait 5 hours to get enough to get home, it may be what it is, but that's not the ideal.
Okay.
What you want to find is a DC fast or level 3 charger.
Okay.
So it will take that connector as well, and those are the ones that using on Tesla as well. And once you go on level 3 charging, it's going to charge 80% in 40 minutes.
So that's what we need.
Yeah, so if you spend an hour charging, you're going to be almost close to full.
Okay.
And yeah, it's that's where you want to be, and that's why I think they designed it that way. Some people, why doesn't it have level 2?
Yeah.
Level 2 is still going to be around 3 hours, which if you're going around, like, take an hour to have a coffee, have a lunch, but do you want to wait somewhere 3 hours?
No.
So it doesn't, level 3 or level 2 doesn't make that much sense,
Okay.
I think. But what they're also saying with the charging system is that you should try to keep a 1-to-4 ratio. So 1 fast charge to every 4 slow charges.
Is that for battery protection?
For battery life. So fast charge heats up the battery, puts more stress on the battery. So if you can mitigate that and do slower in charge is always best for the battery.
Okay, fair enough.
But that's not realistic if you're actually out in the real world and you want to get somewhere.
No, that's true. So if you run and ride any kind of distance where you're... So what is the range? Let's talk about that.
So the range in the city right now, they have it at 235 kilometers.
In city?
In city, yeah.
Okay.
And stop and go traffic. Part of the also reason on that, you can get regenerative braking on it. You could go range mode. So
just explain regenerative braking there for a second.
So as soon as you roll off the throttle, it's going to start to slow down.
Right.
Like it'll slow down pretty fast. When I rode it before, I almost didn't use the brakes.
Okay, you gas off and burn on?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so with that, it's putting some energy back into the system.
Okay.
It's not, it won't like fully recharge your battery, but it is putting energy back into the system. So in the city, you go stop and go, so you're going to get some energy back in.
Okay.
Once you get on the highway, you're just going to be wide open, or maybe not necessarily wide open, but you're going to be
open.
You're going to be open. It's on. Unlike a gas vehicle, you're actually using more energy because you're draining down more power. You don't get a sweet spot of like fuel mileage just because you're sitting on the highway in the same speed.
Right, I gotcha. Yeah, so moving on from there, so range on the highway is less than range in the city because of the diesel.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and one of the things so they did do a test, so it's 50%, 110 kilometers sustained on the highway, 50% stop and go traffic. This is kind of like a U.S. government mandated test for electric vehicles, and that was a range of 153 kilometers.
Okay.
It's kind of interesting. I mean, it's the same thing with gas mileage. Like if you go to the dealership and you find out gas mileage versus what you may actually get.
Right.
There's a lot of different variables going in there.
The perfect condition.
Yeah, and then the rider, size of rider, in all of those things, there's different things that are going to contribute to how the manufacturer did their tests.
Right.
So from my understanding and talking with Harley, Harley has tried to do a pretty fair kind of test to give a realistic idea of what that range is instead of trying to maybe fluff it up a little bit to make it sound better.
Right, okay. That makes sense. You don't want to be in a VW situation.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk more about charging points, because so for me, I'm a distance rider. I want to ride every state in the US.
Yeah.
How, in North America, how many of these level 3 chargers can I expect to find?
So it's something that is growing. So there are several apps like ChargePoint where you're going to go on the app and you'll be able to find. Right now it'd be a great idea to map it out before you left on a trip.
Okay.
To kind of get an idea. I think as time goes, it'll be sort of more like I can just go.
Right.
But I think it's more like you're going to have to plan a bit and go, okay, I'm going to go this route instead of this route because there are less level 3 chargers right now. Though the cool thing about Harley is the dealer network.
Yes.
So not now every dealership, but
Shortly.
in the future, yeah, almost every dealership should have the chargers.
And in the States, at least, there's a dealership every kilometer.
In the States, it's crazy.
I should say mile if I'm talking about the States. So.
If you go down to Washington, and you can drive 2 hours and hit 10 dealerships.
Yeah, so you're good. You're good there, but you're still going to have to pull over. You're still going to have to, hopefully they have a level 3. That's the plan, is for 3s in these dealerships.
Yeah, for any Harley dealership, they're going to put in,
it'd be pointless.
A level 3 because that's what they support. Tesla dealerships you could go to. And you could go to... you'll see more and more.
Right.
Because it's the newest technology, but more and more are coming.
I gotcha. So, in terms of servicing these things, what's required?
So servicing is, there's the standard servicing. Obviously, your tires are going to wear out. And the interesting thing about an electric motorcycle is those tires are going to wear out faster. Because of your torque. And you're ripping on those tires.
Okay, so rear tire, probably more.
Rear tire is going to wear out quicker.
It's pretty usual for a high torque bike, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Brake pads are going to do like normal.
Yeah. Double-sided Brembros there, very nice.
You're going to flush out your brake lines.
Yeah.
That's kind of standard. But, like, for example, there's not really any break-in period beside the tires. The engine is quite a simple engine. It's a 1 gear.
Right.
It does take half a liter of oil.
Okay, half a liter, that's it.
That's it, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it will need to be changed. Sort of on right now, what Harley has put is sort of their normal
service
8,000
interval.
kilometer intervals. Yeah.
80,000.
No, 8,000.
8,000.
Yeah, 80,000.
That would have been, because we know that it's expensive to walk in here and get your bike serviced. So 80,000 would have been perfect.
Yeah. So maintenance-wise, it's going to be obviously quite a bit lower. It is still a motorcycle. Motorcycles have 2 wheels as opposed to 4. So it's something that you're going to want to have looked at from time to time just to make sure everything's, bolts aren't falling out. It shouldn't. There's no rattle on. But, bikes you want to look at because...
That's true. For the Buell boys, we lose most of our hardware in one ride, so, that's kind of nice.
Yeah, these ones, the bolts will stay on, but there's always, eventually bearings and all of the things.
Yeah, the normal stuff. Wear and tear.
Wheels. But on the engine, you don't have you're not rebuilding the engine one day. Obviously, the batteries don't have an infinite lifespan.
Right. What's the sort of
I don't know
projected
the exact length on them right now. They do have a 5-year warranty on them.
Oh, 5-year warranty. Yeah. That's decent.
And as time goes, battery technology is getting better, and cost is coming down.
Right. Cost coming down. Maybe some better. Hopefully you'll be able to retrofit a new battery into them.
Yeah, you would hope. Yeah, and then you would get something with a longer range, and that. Yeah, because right now, to replace it's a lot.
It's a lot. Any idea on the cost?
I can't confirm this though, but I've heard like around $15,000.
Okay.
If you want to do.
Around $15K for a new battery. So half the price of the bike is the battery.
Yeah, so that's also, why is it so expensive? Well, batteries are not cheap.
That's a serious bet. Let's talk about performance. Why have we not spoken about that? What's the torque rating or whatever?
So they do release torque rating horsepower. Torque rating's 86 pounds of torque.
Okay.
Horsepower is rated at 105 horsepower.
Okay. 86 sounds low for what it feels like.
So and both of those 86 pounds. If you were looking at a gas vehicle and you said hey, this is 86 pounds of torque and 105 horsepower,
that's any Harley really.
Maybe
big
not,
dyno, a big dyno with a tune maybe.
Yeah. Or if you're looking at I don't know. A lot of bikes. It's not mind blowing or super exciting.
It's not a Panigale.
You're like, why isn't it 200 horsepower?
Yeah.
But I think the big difference is that power is the same everywhere.
Right.
Like you're at 100K and you grab the throttle and it's getting up instantly at the same kind of speed.
It's not a true apples to apples.
Yeah, I don't. It's not. It's weird because I don't know how that actually really applies. Like, on a gas vehicle, you're shifting between the gears. If you're low in the RPMs, you're waiting for it to rev up. You're waiting for the power band. There really is no power band on this.
It's all
power.
They
have built in a bit of a curve, so it's not just on because it would be insane. So they have built in a bit of an arc on it.
Okay.
And then each of the modes will be slightly gentler. Sport mode is more like boom.
Yes.
But once you get on and ride it, it does not feel like those specs at all. Like,
yeah, I mean, just on the
like,
dyno thing, you can feel that thing just all grip. There's no waiting. Like I can imagine if they didn't build that curve, the guys would be flipping them.
Oh, for sure. And it's 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. Those specs, you wouldn't do that on a comparable bike.
Right.
You may get 4 seconds, but you're not going to do that same.
Yeah, not in the same snap.
One.
That's very interesting.
Also because like this, you just crack the throttle, you're not shifting through gears, you're not having to do that.
That's right, you don't have that time. You don't hit the false neutral on the way through. It's so embarrassing, that's the main thing. So a question again for the Buell guys, and I know I keep going back there, but that's really my audience.
Yeah, for sure.
Have you heard of Eric Buell's electric line, the Fuel?
The Fuel, yeah.
So what do you think of that?
I've seen very little info on it.
As well?
So I don't know. I mean, hopefully it's cool. I mean, right now, I think any electric vehicle or motorcycles that come out are going to be a positive because everyone that makes something, and if they make something that's cool, hopefully pushes the other person to say, hey, I'm going to do this. So yeah, it's cool. I don't know anything about it. I mean, that's a hard gig, like, to build that bike.
Oh yeah.
And I think too, because I don't know what kind of backing he has. Before with Buell, they were backed by Harley.
Yeah. Or by Hero for EVR, and that fell apart, and fuck that.
So whatever happened, or whatever, but there's still that backing, but big company behind you. And that's different than if he's just building independently. That's a hard go.
That is a hard go. That's his life story, is the hard go.
Yeah.
Backing, pulled backing, fall apart, start again. So yeah, we're hopeful that there's going to be something there. There's lots of guys talking about a gas and like a hybrid kind of situation.
Hybrid would be cool.
That'd be super cool. There's possibilities of 400 horsepower bikes out of a hybrid combination. So it's just it's mind blowing.
You would solve some of those range issues.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. You just go straight to gas or whatever. That'd be very cool. While I have you here, there's a guy who asked about the new adventure bike from Harley.
Yes.
Do you have any info on that?
So a little bit of info has come out now. It's coming.
It's coming. Do we know when?
It should be next year, so like the 2021s.
2021, okay.
They have released a bit about the engine, so that adventure bike is getting, I think it's a 1250 or 1275 cc, I can't remember.
Okay, similar to the Yuli, okay. Liquid cooled, no?
Liquid cooled, okay. I believe it's liquid cooled, 148 horsepower.
Oh, it must be liquid then.
Yeah.
Has to be.
Yeah, so, and then they have a 950cc version of that engine. They are a V60, so it's going to be a liquid cooled because all of those. I think the engine's called the Revolution Max.
Okay.
So the V-Rod was the Revolution engine.
That's what I was going to ask. Is it a V-Rod engine?
It's probably not, but it follows the lineage.
Similar sort of.
A V60 liquid cooled engine.
Okay.
The V-Rod was the Revolution engine. The Streets are the Revolution X engine.
Okay.
Now it's coming out the Revolution Max engine. How much they're similar, I don't know.
Yet to be seen.
Yeah, but for the specs on horsepower and that, sound pretty impressive.
That sounds really impressive. Given the KTM 1290 is like, I think about 160 horse off the floor, so that's pretty close. Because there's lots of guys, again, like myself, who want to ride the distance, and I want to hit the dirt. Is there? Do you know of any improvements they've made? Like, so my Ulysses I rode it in the dirt, but mainly on the street. The belt is an issue in the dirt. I don't know, is that thing belt driven or chain driven?
My understanding to this point, it is belt driven.
Okay.
Because that's kind of what Harley's is.
It's always been about.
It does give you that, not having to have do that maintenance.
The question is it going to be more geared for off-road, or is it pure adventure on-road kind of bike?
It's going to be made for on and off-road.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's definitely, you can see that they have, the crash bars and the caging on it. It does have it looks like a higher seat height, so it is going to sit up. It's going to have that clearance underneath for going off-road. So yeah, and I think you can get some more aggressive knobbies and stuff for it. So can you off-road with it? The same with kind of a dual sport.
Right,
so it's going to be, that's what they're aiming it for.
And in terms of Harley's vision, obviously like the old school guys are about that thump. And so obviously Harley's continuing to make that bike. They're making the Milwaukee 8s, they're doing their thing. This new market that they're hitting, I can't see a bearded friggin' old guy, if you will, who loves his fat bob or whatever it is, switching to the electric bike. That to me is an impossible shift. So this is clearly going to be aimed at the younger rider.
I think yes and no.
Okay.
I think there's going to be some diehards that will say, never, this is sacrilege.
There's some guys that won't ride fuel injected.
Yeah. I mean, the guys, that always weirds me out. Like, why do you love carburetors?
Yeah,
so
they're the
much?
worst.
So there's always going to be those guys, and that's in anything. Old
purists
guys
anywhere.
Say, I can't change my mind.
Yeah.
But I think there are going to be some of the guys that go and take it for a ride and go, holy cow. I have a 10-month-old daughter, and I think more of her saying, like, what? A gas vehicle?
Isn't that bad for the environment?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
That was what we drove you home from the hospital in that.
This is the wagon we came home in.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, no, that's true. We are into a new way of life, and everything is sort of heading that way, and you can fight it or you cannot. There will always be purists. For every day, could be cool.
Yeah.
Could be super cool. I'd ride it.
Yeah. Did you get out today?
No, I'd love to get out, but maybe another day we could hit that up. But when are they going on sale?
So technically they're on sale now.
Okay, come on down. I think that's pretty much it. I think I've sort of got a good understanding of what the bike is, what it offers, who it's for. Anything else you'd like to tell us about, before we go, why would I buy this bike?
Well, I think the big part of Harley has always been about the look, the sound, and the feel. When you get down to the sound, some people go, wow, this doesn't sound like a Harley. It has its own unique sound.
It does.
It's manufactured into the gears. It sounds like a jet engine taking off. When you put it into propulsion mode, you'll actually feel a pulse in the seat. So
is that part of the mechanics of the bike, or is that developed into it?
It's developed into it.
Interesting.
So this is, as any Harley, is an experience.
Okay.
That's what Harley's about. You're getting on a bike to have an experience.
The lifestyle.
This is and then that community for Harley is always still going to be around the bike. And you're going to come down, meet other riders and the community, and that's what Harley's about. It's about riders and bikes.
Right.
This is the next iteration of those bikes, but the culture of biking and everything about that's not going away.
Right.
Just get to ride on something that's super cool.
Will you be considered the red-headed stepchild if you show up to a Harley rally or Sturgis on an electric Harley Davidson, like we are when we show up on Buells?
I would say no. Right now, if you showed up on this, I think right now, considering the price point, you're going to be a baller.
You're going to be a baller.
This guy's a straight-up baller.
Well, there you go. They promise not to treat you like a red-headed stepchild if you ride a Harley electric bike. We'll see if that actually happens. It was a real pleasure.
Okay,
Thanks
awesome,
a lot,
yeah.
Jeff.